Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hindsight Podcast, and it's great to have you back in December. Happy December to everyone who is joining us. Because I don't know if you agree with me, but I've told the guys before, and if I haven't, this is the first time you should hear it. That December is, there's something about December that makes you feel like it is just time to soak in the atmosphere, and if you can manage to shut out the cold in the world, December is. It just kind of feels like a really nice time to be grateful for a lot of things, and it hasn't happened before on this production that I'm filming on my birthday. So happy birthday to me, and happy birthday to everyone who's celebrating, and cheers to everybody. I appreciate it. Cheers, appreciate it. The plan was actually to have a nice platter here, but unfortunately, this is also a shade to all the Lagos vendors. Lagos vendors always think they're doing you a favor even when you're paying them cash. So we've been chatting with the vendor for at least an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours to deliver to us, and they couldn't make it happen. But more than that, when you find yourself in a luxury apartment like this, you have to always be very grateful to the benefactor, and shout outs to you. Hopefully you get to see the video and appreciate it a lot more than that we even do. But thank you so much, right? But it's great to have you here joining us. Olakunle Rufai is here, back on the pod. IBK Sports is back. The last time IBK sat here, interestingly, it wasn't quite comfortable, so we threw in the pillow to make sure that IBK is a lot more at home. And Olakunle Rufai
the cold
is
too
here.
much. The cold
Good to
much.
have you here. Is it cold?
Yeah, I think it's cold.
No, it's not cold. I mean, it's
cold like right now or last week.
No, like
now. It's cold.
No, yeah.
No. You're not as limited as I am. I'm actually sweating a little bit, right? But yeah, Olakunle, good to have you back here. You missed the last episode, which honestly, I always say that I don't tell the guys in the podcast in the group or anything. But for example, today I missed Ini on the pod.
In his play with them.
And what these guys don't realize is how important they are to the podcast, because what you manage to do is create. Make it allow me. What you manage to do is create an organism, which is what we call it in Nigeria. An organism where you don't realize that when you take out the parts of the organism, it does function. Yes, it does, but it doesn't quite function at the highest level. So shout out to everyone who comes in, to fill in. Emeka is a great guy. We love him. But I miss him on the podcast today because his energy, his humor. I think funny thing is, Rufai used to understand my humor more than anybody, but these days I share more memes with Ini because for some reason, and Ini wasn't like that when he came to Lagos. Ini actually is lighting up a lot more. But Rufai is here to.
I've logged out of IG, man. It's ridiculous.
Can't be your HDMing.
I can't be. Come on. I'm looking for some stability.
Is there anybody that can help me shut down my explore page on IG?
I'm looking for some stability. You open IG, you see all sorts of displays.
I think that explore is. I don't know how that thing.
The funny thing is that there was a time I cleaned up my explore to a point that I wasn't seeing anything more than just football, sports stuff.
Really? How did you do that?
And these pages. No, I just.
So the thing is, when you do that, anytime you say it back, just click at the bottom. You see not interested.
Right.
The more not interested you do,
Yeah.
the more they start clicking.
But the real question is it that you are not interested?
You're always interested.
The real question is that I need this phone to not be a distraction to me. I bought it with my money, and I should be able to tell it what to do for me, right?
So click not interested.
Yeah, good to have you here, Rufai. What's been happening? Movies. And it's funny, because people don't realize that, not people that don't watch the podcast, because if you watch the podcast a lot, you realize that we're pretty much a family. But a lot of people that don't watch the pod, when I do an intro, for example, like the one I did last time, and I say, people on movie sets, I was actually referring to Rufai. So it's it's actually documentary I was referring to Wale, and the flight I was referring to.
Is it?
The movie.
So yeah, so what's up with that?
It's out next year. So
Are we invited for the premiere?
We'll see.
Hey.
No, I don't think I don't go premiere. I'll go premiere now.
To some degree. So we're still trying to figure out if it's going to be out in the cinemas or it's going to be out on streaming platforms. So we're trying to figure that out. We're finishing scenes as well. So we're shooting like replacement scenes.
Right.
I'm on set tomorrow again. So it's like
Right.
It's not a game.
It's not a game. Well, I just need to check that that Rufai's image is great because I know my image is great, right? This thing is not a game, and because I want to bill him for the promo we just did for the movie. I even though we haven't mentioned the name of the movie.
I've not
that's a
mentioned the
promo.
name,
You
but
get, that's a promo.
Oh.
It's the first promo you're getting, Sean Thompson. So put me in the budget and send some money to the podcast, right? For today's episode.
write some checks.
Advocate Sports. December is the time where you're allowed to share some truths and do it differently.
Yeah.
Right? You have 75k followers on Instagram now. Oh, sorry, on Twitter. And
Before the end of this discussion, it will be 75.
75k, right? So we have to for that.
No, but I have
So
to ask
nowadays, right? Nowadays you have brands. Will you let me give these flowers?
Yeah.
Right. So nowadays you have brands, reaching out to you, wanting to advertise and whatnot, and people don't realize how hard you work for that, right? So congrats for
You
that.
guys knew when I started. Huh?
Yeah, congrats for that. But I always tell you, and you don't admit it, that it was until you started filming with the podcast, that
Some exponential growth.
exponential growth. I mean, the credit goes to you. Right.
It's like when you see all those celebrities. It's like when you see all those celebrities on the red carpet. So how do you feel about? How do you feel about 74k is a lot. You are like the top 2-3%.
So we got that day.
No, but IBK, I'm just checking. So the thing about today's recording is that, and when you're changing houses, for example,
so
yeah.
let me just make a point. So what happened was that at the start of the year, I realized that a lot of sport guys on social media, no matter how good you are, most of us do TV, we do radio, we do pod, and I realized that the sport market itself are not even looking at radio and TV anymore. So I spoke with someone and I was like, there has to be, some other way to make these things work. And they were like, okay, most brands would rather go with people because we are in the Gen Z world,
Right.
the Gen Z period, and
Right.
most of them don't. If you ask them, they don't even know TV programs, they don't know radio shows anymore, and everybody wakes up. You go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, and the person told me that I need to find a way to boost my my presence on social media. So shout out to Pooja. I spoke with Pooja as well, because the honest truth is that Pooja is not someone who his face is on TV or on radio, but with all due respect, if any brand wants to,
The project is paying for that adverts, this particular ad, right? Or you will pay for
no, he's my guy.
Right,
If any brand wants to, talk to any sport person, I'm not saying because Pooja is my guy, but I feel Pooja is the first person they would go
No,
to.
Suleiman is a hustler,
Yeah,
right?
right now in
And
Nigeria.
I just exposed you,
Yeah,
of course.
he's the first person they will go to right
Yeah,
now in Nigeria. So,
right.
I spoke with him and he made me understand that, you need to start making money apart from, just doing the conventional talking on the pod, talking on radio, and also, that was my motivation. I had two motivations at the start of the year. I said I was going to be a very influential person on Twitter, and I said I was going to end the year with a car. So
Right. IBK, love it. When you, it's important for human beings. I wanted to say men, but the women who watch the podcast might think I'm a bit misogynistic, but nothing like that. But especially when you're, and I think hell, I'll say it. When you're a man, it's important that some of the things you say, God grants you the grace to actualize it, because for every time you actualize something you say you're going to do, it gives you belief,
yeah, definitely.
in yourself to do a lot more things. So I totally relate with that, and I tap into that grace, and hopefully,
you have the grace already.
hopefully,
Honestly, they're not going to say there's a big man.
hopefully, that's the case. But no, 75k followers is great, and we benefited off that as well. And it's important to realize to
Wally,
mention.
drink don't finish, I beg.
Right. So whatever, go buy drink come. Do you use your
Yes.
YC?
No make with
Right.
gas you.
But it's important to realize that even on when you're working with people, you're necessarily not going to always be playing the same space with them, and you have to appreciate what everybody brings to the table individually. And I said that because when we started the podcast, for many of the early editions of the podcast, we were people loved when we spoke like this honestly with ourselves, and so this is a bit of a throwback to that.
Abike, even if na empty cup, you get carry am. It was a few months ago that he collected his phone. Now he uses 2 smartphones.
So 2 smartphones now, one for celebrating, one for people like me. So if you're people like me, you can call this phone, right? But if you're not a fan of the podcast, this is what your call will come to.
You dey laugh. This is serious level up.
This real flower stuff. And we don't have the money yet, right? The resource.
No, we don't.
We don't have the money. We don't have the money yet to it's fine, great, yeah. We want to actually be able to give people flowers on this show, real time, like real flowers, the ones you can smell in your house. And we're in such a luxury apartment. Wale, please make sure that thing doesn't show.
Yeah, this scene is out of the show.
But yeah, I'm sure Wale knows he's going to pick another shot, so that's why I'm
Or let's have you work.
But anyway, we don't have the resources.
It's the end of the year, so it's very important we
don't have the resources to do the things. Half the things we want to do on this podcast, we don't have the means to do it yet. So when I tell people that the podcast is just in crawling phase, and people say you're doing great already, and I'm like, we're doing great. I appreciate the compliment. Your kind words are important to me, but if we touch what we want to touch, it'll be controlling the entire space. So shout outs to every single person. Watch all year. It's not easy, right? And it's great like that. So welcome back to the podcast, and the Hindsight Podcast is what you're watching. You should actually, at this moment, click the thumbs up video on YouTube, and if you're on Instagram, you should actually leave a comment. Maybe we have one more episode to record this year, and that means that maybe we have the time to do it now or do it later. But favorite moment on the podcast this year, favorite moments on the podcast this year, and that'll absolutely be great. Let's speak about the World Cup, right? As we are in the last phase, final is here, Argentina, France, and France doing back-to-back finals, first time in 60 years. I don't know how I feel about it. I wish that this was Brazil somewhere in the mix, but the teams who are there deserve to be there. And you have to say that Morocco gave us a reminder, not that I needed any, but that everything is possible. Everything is possible in the world. But you're a Messi fan, so I'm sure you're not as easy as me talking about this final.
Nah, I'm like I did for the Copa America final. And thankfully that was I think midnight, so it was so easy for me because I've been following the group stages, the semi-finals, when they got to the finals, I told my brother I don't have the mind to watch it because I know how Messi has been humiliated.
One guy said, sorry, coach. One guy said, I love Messi more than my father. So one guy said, I understand. Say, how you about this system about though?
See, this social media, people just need to learn to keep some things to themselves.
I think that there are some points in time I'll leave Instagram and whatnot, but I will never leave Twitter. I would never leave Twitter.
I will leave the guy.
Just putting it out there. I would never leave Twitter.
I'll leave guy.
Even Messi said it that, those years, they will get to the finals and not win it. He goes back home, cry with his family, check social media, see everything everyone is saying, and it was a really, really tough period.
Should we players say they read social media?
No, all of them they do. Even if they don't, their family members do as well. So, it's something that, like I said before we came here, I said if he doesn't win the World Cup, I feel that he himself, he might not be that happy, but I'm sure there will be some level of, I've tried my best. To be honest, France will be a very, very, very big opposition.
I was going to ask. Two different sets of people in the world. Some people like to see the cup half full. Some people like to see it half empty, right? So if Messi has gone to, this is third final, right? Third final.
No, second.
Second
final.
World Cup,
second final.
Second final in the World Cup.
in 3 World Cups, yeah.
Second final in 3 World Cups, right?
Yeah.
4 World Cups.
In 3. No, like the last 3 World Cups is entered. This is the second one.
When was the last time it was in final?
2014.
2014 against Germany.
2014, right?
And it was extra time, very,
right.
very sad.
So the question is, how is this celebrated as a success for Messi? You get the greatest player of all time, arguably. A lot of people have said, look, this is actually failure. Like, you've been here 5 World Cups, and this is the best World Cup. So in prime Messi, you don't have the kind of numbers he's doing now. So how is this all of a sudden being washed as a successful run?
Yeah, I think the narratives will fly on social media, and as much as a lot of people will say, no, I don't read social media, I don't listen to what people say. Things on social media actually shape a lot of the world narrative, shape people's decisions. And I think what you said makes a lot of sense. What I was going to say before what you said was that I don't think Messi has got anything to prove to anyone as far as being a footballer and being a great footballer is. As far as being a GOAT is, I don't think he's got anything to prove. Win the World Cup or not win the World Cup, I don't think he's got anything to prove. But I also agree that why is this generally being accepted as, this is such a successful, and the reason Argentina are doing this is because it is Messi and because of how great Messi is. When it was better than this, they didn't do it. So what exactly has changed? What's the difference now? Why is it like now is now a Messi is the like?
I think
Which-
this is the least
so-
talented Argentina.
So which is, we'll get to that, I promise. Which is the point, I am driving at, and you might find that on this particular podcast, you won't find us trying to break headlines or trying to put out stats, because you can find that on Opta, and shouts to them. But it's about narratives and whatnot, and one of it is when people like us tell you that a successful player is not necessarily dependent on the things they have in the trophy room. And which is why I'm happy with this particular World Cup that at least suddenly we realize that a player like Antoine Griezmann, who's a striker, is one of the best players at the World Cup, if not the top 3 best players at the World Cup. What he's done, redefining his role.
Has to be
in
top
that
3.
French team, I'm not sure if there is a player more important than Griezmann in the French team.
For me,
Mbappe, obviously. So, and when I say this, people say, it's heresy. Mbappe. Obviously, I know Mbappe is important because of the goals he scores, his explosiveness, and what he's able to do as far as the cutting edge. But when you remember that football is team sports, I put Griezmann. If I have in that team, if you have 10 Griezmanns in that team, they perform they get to the stage at the moment, even without Mbappe in the team. That is my analysis. So
I think,
why I'm happy,
yeah.
hold on a sec. Why I'm happy is that this World Cup is maybe anti-clockwise people's mentality of success. So Griezmann is success now. Messi is a success. He scored 4 penalties, right? And no one is speaking about it. But you're more impressed at his level of influence on the team, not the stats. So people are running away from the stats now. I don't see people talk about the assists. They're just saying that is one of the most powerful individual performances I've ever watched from a football player. So I think it is time that we accept that we're also a bit double-mouthed.
No. Normally, like you said, I think the time of Johan Cruyff, Delima, these guys, the stats were there, but people would rather tell you that you should see the game for yourself. I've seen people tell you that, they say Ronaldinho. When you see Ronaldinho start now, you will not believe it's the Ronaldinho we all say that he's the greatest. You need to see these guys play football, and like we said on the pod, the Gen Zs of this world, they rather just go with the stats. Most of them don't even watch football. I'm sorry to say.
I can tell you for free. Highlights.
You get they go online, see live scores and all those things. To
before
be
you talk
honest,
one thing, you say, but he scored.
yeah, like you mentioned
results-
Griezmann. When Griezmann's position was changed from a 9 to 8, I was very worried that how is the guy going to perform? Just behind the striker. But trust me, the stats are not there. You can't really say this is his assist. But you look at the balance Griezmann brings to that French team, and you won't see that you need to actually watch it for you to know that this guy is as important as Kylian Mbappe. So you are very right. I think stats are really, really spoiled football. Maybe if we see the end of Ronaldo and Messi, maybe we'll start seeing real football.
Right.
Instead of, stats.
Right.
I think that's
I
what
wouldn't go as far as saying, stats spoil the game, because, what we have as a global game now and the way we see the global game is such a beautiful place to be. But if you want to speak about stats, football is not even the sport to speak about stats with. Football is even just scratching the surface on statistics. You know, you go to the NFL, you go to the NBA,
Those ones,
right? But when you watch Steph Curry, right, do what he can do, you know, with shooting, you just realize that it would be a disservice to the sport to speak about Steph Curry as the greatest player of all time. But you know that this is the greatest shooter that ever graced the planet, right? So why can't we do that with football and agree that with Cristiano, for example, you're looking at maybe the greatest, you know, assassin, you know, a machine playing the game. And, you know, with a player like Zidane, you can say easily that there is no argument and he is peerless when you speak about that this is the greatest mastermind in the game. And I appreciate Messi for, you know, being a little magician. You know, why can't we have that?
No, I think it
was like that before, funny enough, because
I think
there was really nothing like the greatest of all time. We don't really hear that conversations, you know, during the time of Ronaldinho, Zidane. In fact, the funny thing is that these guys even see themselves as friends, you know. They follow each other, they do a lot of stuff together. But you look at the rivalry Messi and Ronaldo have brought into football, and
the rivalry Messi and Ronaldo fans, those two players have absolute respect for each other. The rivalry Messi and Ronaldo fans, the rivalry the media, because that is the best way for the media to sell their business. Those two players have absolute respect for each other, right? And it was something that one of our guys, and he's someone that we all know, Cerebrone, tweeted, and I thought, this thing makes sense. So he said something about, and it's true, when we were growing up and watching these fantastic players play, there were arguments. There were conversations about, this guy better pass this guy. So I remember Korea Japan 2022, I watched majority of it at barbing salons, where we can't sit down, the bro sees them, now them go sit down. Yeah. You get, we sit down for floor. You get. We sit down for floor, or may we stand outside. Do you understand? For the door. But now them go sit down and they go they talk, we go they look them. They go they talk, we go they look them. We just they hear what they talk. There were conversations, this guy better pass this guy. But there was never this much animosity and toxicity as regards if I say something about this one's fan comes and says, why are you it was never like that. It was, I remember, I can't forget the first time I heard a Nigerian person talk about Ronaldinho. I'm telling you, I'm not even whining. I can never forget the first time I heard someone from this country talk about Ronaldinho. That time I didn't really know Ronaldinho. He was coming into Korea, Japan, 2002. Me, I've not watched enough football as much as these bros. And the bros talk, say, Bobo, only control laying by. I swear, that was how the guy described Ronaldinho. And everybody there was like, that guy, Bobo, only shaking it. It was a case of men or football fans enjoying the genius of these players. You get, so it's completely different now, where you know it's either this person is better on all this level than this person, and for me, I've always it doesn't.
Yeah, I've said it before, and maybe Wale can call the clip back. And maybe we need to partner with Google or one of these cloud managers to help us manage our data, to be able to call, the people that bust my head the most in public speaking or in content creation are the ones in church, And the Lord said to Jeremiah, you don't see on the screen, who are those boys in church? How? No. It is the alacrity, bro. And Moses picked up his sword. I don't know if it happens in mosque, right? But in churches, your screens everywhere these days. And the moment we go say something, it's on the screen.
The one I know, in the mosque is when you have the alpha and the small the interpreter. The thing is that the guy, the interpreter or the subordinate knows almost everything in his head. Most of the time, they have the entire Quran in their head. Okay. So the moment the big alpha says, and this verse, I say start time. All he needs to do is mention the first word. That person will pick up.
It is crazy.
You go just dey recite them, they go.
It is still one of the craziest things that I find. You know, people. I remember that because I was going to say that. You know, maybe one of the leading brands in the world. If you're working for them, you know, please reach. You know, let us reach you or send us a text. Let's reach you. You know, Spotify, something like that. You need to help us. You know, rank and file our content. So when I say, oh, maybe Wale needs to call this content back, you know, and we have it on Spotify, you know, Spotify can just simply give us an algorithm, you know, call this back. Because I can imagine the amount of
I say this technology wey they thought they never invent them.
No, but you know, I think it's part of data management.
It is now, but for that to happen,
you know.
No, there are things, there are technologies like that now. The AI go just mad.
The AI that can help us transcribe.
The bad thing about this part that you're saying is that nobody can hear you per se.
They can hear me.
Right. So you have to transcribe it.
Once they transcribe, yes, anything you mention can be picked.
Right. So I was going to say that, you know, and I said it before, I think in team sports, the very idea of the best player in the world is the most
I think it's not real. I think it's non-existent.
It's terrible, right?
I think it's non-existent. So,
Yeah.
sorry, I think it's non-existent for also, for example, like the Messi conversation we're having. Remember the pass Messi gave? It was against Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? Bruh. The world went crazy.
Netherlands.
Was it against Netherlands? The world went crazy.
Yeah.
What? What is it? I didn't see the game live.
Right.
I'll be honest. But because of the kind of coverage that particular pass had, I went, I looked it up, and I saw it. And I described it to someone. I said, from the moment Messi picked that ball up and it was moving this way, he knew he wanted to make that pass. Every other person maybe didn't know. But if you see the way he was moving, if they play ball, you go know. If you see the way he was moving, he knew he wanted to make that pass. But two things. He was trying to create the opening for the pass to happen, one. Then he was trying to deceive every other person that was trying to tackle him. You get?
But not you.
You understand? Not you. Not me.
Vice
Obviously.
governor now.
Not me. But you see, the kind of coverage that got in terms of, man, this guy is a wizard. This guy, bro, we've seen impossible passes.
I think it works for both guys.
Exactly. We've seen Fabregas
I think it works for both guys.
Impossible. Yeah. Do you understand? We've seen Fabregas make impossible passes. You understand? So that's where we're speaking to in the sense that it is really difficult. I think, you know, whether at the greatest, we can have the conversation of being greatest, because I feel like when you talk about greatest, it's not about what they can do on the pitch alone. It's about what their image is. You know, what they have achieved in football, outside football, what they mean is like when England used to worship Beckham. It wasn't just about the fact that he could bend free kicks. Yeah. He was much more than that. So that's why I feel like, okay, you can have conversations about the greatest, but when you talk about the best footballer, it is incredibly, bro,
Yeah. So in the spirit of that, you know, and the funny thing about, you know, working as a host is that you can switch sides anytime. But I'm still going to ask, you know, what Modric has done in the World Cup. You know, obviously it's, you know, swan song, you know, it's come to an end, maybe. But that guy, and we've given him his flowers on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But Modric, in my opinion, right, may be greater than the people that are arguably you put before him. You know, the Xavis of this world.
This guy needs to apologize now.
Honestly. You know, Modric, I don't think we'll see a midfielder like that in a while.
This guy needs to apologize now.
I don't think we'll see, you know, when people say we'll see Messi in a while, we'll see Ronaldo in a while, I think we're probably going to see Ronaldo and Mbappe, you know, because that's the kind of, you know, they kind of have similar mold and everything. But you see Modric, I'm not sure that there will be a midfielder like that and it makes me sad, for another maybe 20 years.
I think Pedri is going in that direction.
Stop it.
IBK, I mean, off IBK Mike. But yeah, I said it. He needs to apologize. First of all, when we're doing that thing with the Bruyne, Fabregas, and Modric, he said, this Modric, you go bench him, you go throw him out of the team. This one is the start pad. He said it. That's one. Two, how can we honestly be talking about what Modric has done? That's a 35, 36.
37, no?
Modric 30.
That's 37, yes.
Modric, is it 37?
No, I don't think it's up to 37.
No, it's 37.
Okay, that's a 37-year-old guy.
Okay, it's Pepe that is 39.
Yeah, that's a 37-year-old guy. And we're talking about that, and then you are saying Pedri.
No, he said who who will modify, like who would
So you
have
never
something
see
close.
anyone like.
No, I think Pedri has. To be honest, I think Pedri has close control of the ball, which which Modric, does best. And I also think that what Pedri needs to do is still quite young, is passing range. I think if he perfects that, he would have similar play like Modric, like Xavi. But honestly, it's very difficult to see someone who has
But Modric is clear of Xavi now. He's clear of Xavi.
Is that Modric is clear on Xavi actually?
He's clear now.
Modric is actually clear of Xavi.
He's clear.
There is no.
No, I think it's you can argue.
IBK is stunned.
No, I think you can argue.
I need in on this shit. See, man.
Hey, Wally, you sit down there.
IBK is stunned.
See, man.
Two boys.
We don't put you on middle now.
See, man, you did. Amen. What you did?
2 on 1. Pass one, pass.
But I was going to speak about England, and I'm sure Sky and Beebs, BT can do maybe not a better job, but have adequate resources to cover their journey. But I was just wondering how it is possible that they can, obviously when you watch Gareth Southgate, with England in tournaments since he's taken over,
I think
right?
he's done well.
You cannot help but accept, even the most cynical people accept that he has done well with
Thank you. That's what I tell people.
Right? You would be counter-instructive, right? But having said that, you now have to analyze the merits of it, right?
Yeah.
The teams they've played and how far they've come. So if you're Gareth Southgate and you've had the next best English generation since, I think we will agree that, I don't think England will have anything like Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard in the same team, ever again, right? No. But if you now have the next best England generation of all time, and a team like Morocco and Croatia make it past you on consecutive World Cups, right? Then you have to now say, have we underachieved given the talent, gap that we have with these teams? No. Or do we now accept that with tournaments, you're always going to have freak teams and freak performances? Or do we just bottom line across board and say, given what we've said about Morocco and Croatia, this is still a failure for this team?
Now this is it. Gareth Southgate's first tournament was the World Cup. I think the 2018 World Cup,
right,
where he finished 4th place. Yeah, he got to the semi-finals. The Euros, he got to the finals of the Euros. And this particular one, I think if they were on the other bracket, I think they would have done better. So their best game, funny enough, their best game at the World Cup was against France. They outplayed France. They had a chance to come back into that game.
But the bad thing about making your best game the game you lose.
I don't think.
Well, you come to the best.
I don't think their best game.
I don't disagree. I agree that I thought England's best game.
I was against France.
There's a reason I don't think.
But I have a problem when my best performance is the one that I walk away as a loser. That doesn't make me feel good.
The reason I don't think England's best game was against France was that on the face of it, that's the thing, because of the media, because of the English media, on the face of it, it feels like, it was successful. Guys, Southgate has done well, no doubt. And it was what I was beginning to stand about that. He has done well. Yeah, he has done well, but the danger that comes with being in this position is, you are either going to judge Southgate by virtue of what he has achieved up on this point, or judge him based on whether or not he's enough to take them to that next level that they need to go. And that's the problem. Because on the face of it, you feel like, well, done well, we got to the finals of the Euro, we got to the semi-finals of the last World Cup, now we got to this. But the English players and the FA and everybody, they need to be concerned about the fact that why is it that it is every time they play a top European side, they're in trouble. Every time they play a top European side, they are in trouble. Because if you look at the French team, they've got young players in that team too. A couple, experienced older guys, but they got young players in there too. And if you look at the English side, young players that, you know, the media will tell us it's fantastic, it's the best, he walks into any team. That's the language they use. He walks into any team at the World Cup. You know, he walks into any team at the World Cup, he this, he that. But why is it that every time you face a top side, and you see, against France, you say, that's their best game. Again, on the face of it. Because naturally, this coach of France doesn't care. He's going to concede possession to you.
You know, you concede whatever he needs to concede.
Concede. He's done that from the last World Cup. That's how they won it. He did it against Morocco. Morocco had the most possession. So, on outplaying France, is that really outplaying France?
I thought it was on the, you know, and look, you know, which is why we spend a lot of money to bring you here, right? This thing is not a game, right? I've always thought that, you know, that was not France's best performance at the World Cup. Matter of fact, I thought it was France's, apart from I thought it was their worst performance at the World Cup. So until date, I thought France were lucky to get out of that game. So if this is my worst game, right, and this is your best game, and I win, you know, that makes me feel very good. That that means
my worst game,
if I turn it on.
I won my worst game against your best game.
Against your best game.
And guess what? If not for Theo Hernandez's nonsense to get that second penalty, this is how, what's his name? Didier Deschamps. This is how he operates. Against Morocco yesterday, at 1-0, he was making substitution to shut it down. That's how he operates, even against Morocco.
Yep. That guy is, you know...
You said it already, that he's not... Like, I always make example of when you have a Ferrari and you don't want to go past 100 because you don't want to, you know, have accident or something. I think that's what Deschamps is. With the squad he has, he feels, let me I think let me play it safe.
Deschamps is...
he plays safe a lot.
If the grass is not always greener, we're a person, that's Deschamps. You know, if you expand this team well, you think beat people 6-0. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know because I don't want it to
to find out.
Go either ways. At 1-0, guess what? At 1-0, he took out Giroud.
Yeah.
Played Mbappe as 9. Go and do what you want to do. Play Thuram on the left because that one
energy.
that thing you brought in the guy that scored the second goal on the other flank. Baba. This place, come on, Dembele.
Trouble them.
The guy doesn't do all this extravagant.
That's the thing.
Which is why I always say that, you know, for managers, and I hate to always, you know, revert to type, you know, Jose Mourinho. I always say that for managers, it is important that the manager understands what it takes to win a football game first.
Yeah. Number one,
right? And that's where his loyalty lies.
I think the scholar
to win the game, not to seem like a savior or a revolutionary. It is not important. I don't think
they were entertaining the world.
I remember when we started this Lekki United stuff. So our first 3 games,
United will pay us.
Our first 3 games at the NLO. You know, Biola always communicate with me after the game, and also
shouts to Biola Kazim.
Biola will be like, so if you come, what's up? How was the game? I said, we played well, we did this one.
And that's actually how Biola is.
But they beat God, I beg.
Wait, what kind of lie is that?
Guy, I told this in first game, second game. Don't give Biola no they call me.
So that guy is not reliable.
You go to tell us, yes, we played well, but they beat us. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
What is that? Even our coach guys call me, say, you know what they play well again. You see, I'm honest. Our coach guys call me, say, he's tired of people praising him after the game. You know, your boys are
they're so good.
He say they look table with this.
Because it's like, bro, it's like, okay, for example, it's like this Graham Potter thing now. Bro, like, I see the Graham Potter slander on Twitter, I'm like, bro, if you're a Graham Potter and you're sitting in your office and you're thinking, more, you know, I got a 3-year contract.
Just 3 or 5.
You know, I'm just an example. Say, you know, I got a 3-year contract So the first year, we're going to try to stabilize things. We're going to, but Papa, you see the way they drag it. And guess what? Like I said at the beginning, people say, we don't watch social media, but the truth is that social media actually shape, a lot of.
No, that is the world now.
You get
even your family members, they are seeing it.
So you now, because you're trying to stabilize, and I'm looking at the kind of slander that this guy is getting. I'm looking at it like, do you guys realize that this guy didn't get a preseason? Do you guys realize that this guy has been there for how many weeks? Of how many weeks he's been there? Players, even before the World Cup, players were off for like 10 days. So it's basically back-to-back games. You know, like, so that's what it is. At the end of the day, you have to first of all win.
Result-oriented.
Yeah.
Like Mourinho will say it. Football is result-oriented, no matter how you want to look at it.
So to that effect, so that's we spent time speaking about England, and so I feel like it's a bit of a strong dilemma they're in, But do we, and we speak about that like we don't have a speck in our eye, but we are the first, the first we know the consequence firsthand of thinking there is more.
Yeah.
When we fire again on Raw.
Exactly,
exactly.
And so it's not always greener again.
So what do you do then?
So and see, I'll be very honest with you.
Shout out to Pesero. There was one picture
For what?
he posted.
Shout out to Pesero.
Shout out that one.
Shout out for what?
The guy went to watch a game, a Morocco game. He said, in that tag, he walk. And they go walk you. So guy. He say walk. Nigeria. The guy walks down and say walk.
So
you wait for Portugal. You wait for Portugal.
Because it is different. We're talking about England now. England different. Where they are, they have the.
Okay.
It's gone.
No, we can keep recording. You just need to. Are we changing over?
You get, if you even put this as part of the point, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, it happens when you shoot.
So Ronaldo to Madrid, ongoing.
No,
That's the. Well, let's go. Let's.
I feel Ronaldo will collect that Saudi deal.
I don't want.
Alright.
He go collect that deal.
So what were we?
Okay, 250 million every
We're
year.
speaking about.
Whoa. It's not about the banner. That guy has
Is it
more
200?
money. That guy has more money from outside than in football. He's making more from outside than he's making in football.
Money.
And that's what I'm saying. In the end, then, guy,
He's making more from outside than in football.
But you still want more money.
No,
Give me
there's a
No
point in
point.
your life that is not about money anymore.
So what is he looking for again?
About what play now?
He wants to go to the next World Cup.
He wants to play, Gaba.
There's a point in your life that is not about money anymore.
Ronaldo's sister saying he'll go next World Cup for 2 and I say, allow this guy rest.
Ronaldo is that mad.
Which is what I was saying.
As in,
Fernando Santos got it wrong.
I
that
say,
day.
now they
Should have started
collect that boy money. Now I want me allow this guy rest.
All those things.
Should have started Ronaldo and Leo.
All those things are revisionist system.
No, it's not. I said it before the game. Actually, I
No,
said
but
it
I
before
think
the
if
game.
I was the coach too.
Because
if-
Morocco, me and talk now. I don't even dey whine. Because Morocco
Right.
go always defend
that
and
game,
deep.
that's
they go
that
defend.
Switzerland game.
Now because France score early.
I said it that Figo too was a very stupid guy. Figo came out after they lost.
Please, there will be
You should have just why couldn't you make your point immediately they won against Switzerland?
No, but the thing is, the Switzerland game,
I said
you can't judge
Nah,
anything.
everybody don't abuse
calm
that
down.
coach.
for me.
Yes,
You can't judge anything based on the Switzerland game. Ronaldo was in the game when they beat Switzerland 4-0
For
the
me,
game before. You can't judge anything based on the Switzerland game.
A town hall.
Different.
You get, different. You don't fit. You can't. You see, there's always an urge. You get to go the sensational routes after a game. Game don't finish. This is what the manager should have done. It takes a great level of discipline to accept that. First of all, this is a tough job, but no person forced you to apply for the job. Now you say, I won't be a football manager, so you must accept the criticism that comes with it. But when Figo, for example, comes out and says after the game, oh, this is what you should have done, I think that it is what makes you different from the fan who, I mean, you're a fan, obviously, because he's watching as a fan, but it is an easier to take. The Ronaldo conversation for me and Portugal is, it is clear that this team plays better without this guy, right? But what a manager should know, and I expect because he has more experience, is to constantly shut the noise out from the media, what is happening, and say, look, this is a chance to go to the final. or go to the next round. Is there something that Ronaldo will give us, even if it's a bit of an extra, that this guy will not give us? If there is, then we go with Ronaldo. Right? Or if
But you know it's a tough. It's
a tough call. It's like, I mean,
very tough. On the bounce of someone who just scored a hat trick.
Relax. Abba, let me tell you something. Not anybody can score a hat trick, but anybody can score a hat trick if the conditions are right.
In the World Cup.
I don't think so.
Bro, it's Switzerland.
No, that's see. You can say this like you said. You can say this because of the fact that it has happened.
No, I'm not telling you that it has happened. And me, I'm telling you, I'm not talking about what every other person is saying.
Let's get something clear, right? He scored a hat trick in the World Cup. What was the final scoreline? 6-1. Yeah. Right? What that tells you is that the game was a
without the hat trick, they would have won anyway.
Right? And that's, I hate to knock the kid.
It's not.
You understand? It's not knocking the kid. But what it tells you is that the game is a game that Portugal, if they won it 2-0, they could still qualify anyway. But the guy has scored a hat trick, fantastic history books forever. The point I make is that if you are so conflicted as a manager about starting the kid and Ronaldo, or Ronaldo, play both of them together. Or split the game into two. Start Ronaldo and bring the kid on, which is what I've seen the best managers do in the past.
The angle me I'm speaking from
right.
is the tactical side of the game. I'm not even speaking from where Figo is speaking from. I think Figo is speaking from an angle of this is a guy that has done it on the highest stage and you're playing the semi-final. Put him there. That's what I feel like he's speaking from. But I'm speaking about the tactical aspect of the game. It was like when Chelsea used to play this thing against Mourinho in the knockout stages with Mourinho, Abraham Grant and the likes. This was what Morocco had done in all of their games, even before the knockout stages. The only reason Morocco, I feel, bossed the possession and everything, played on the front foot against France was because France scored very early, and France has a record with this manager of conceding everything to the opposition. It doesn't matter who you are. But going into that game, Portugal should have gone route one. Even before they played it, I was on Sunday. I was with them on Kupol and we were talking about it like, guy, you are right. And I was with Kelvin before the game. I said, start Ronaldo, start Rafael Leao. Morocco were always going to sit deep. Go route one from the beginning of the game. The closest chance they had to scoring, the closest they got to scoring was that Pepe header. If they had more of that in the game, they would have gotten a goal. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Ronaldo is even though that's true.
I was reading stats that Leao only played 80 minutes of the World Cup of the
being the best, being regarded as the greatest manager of all time comes from a series of correct decisions, right? And over time, it sort of like evens itself out. So, you see, every time Jose Mourinho, for example, has made a decision and we've looked back in the past, or someone has made a call and we reference and said, that's the decision that Jose Mourinho would have made. Mm-hmm. It tells you that there is something about consistently doing the right thing. With Fernando Santos, and I said, with the Euros they won, deserved Euros, maybe not deserved, because I think that, if but not for the third place loser, they don't come out of the group. Yeah. So, I'm not one to say, oh, this was deserved or not, because you have to take what life gives you and make it what you desire. But Fernando Santos, for me, as a manager, is not the kind of guy I would leave not a final, a semi-final into his hands and say, I trust that he will manage.
Yeah, quite frankly, it's not like I've seen this guy is a fantastic manager.
This guy is. So in the end, in many ways, he's getting the props he's gotten because he won Portugal their first major silverware in donkey years, and he's been there for a while. So he's giving them stability. And don't let anybody deceive you. Stability is important in anything in life. Once you're there for a long time, your calls over time will become right because you have had a long time to make them. Except you are a terrible.
So one of the reasons why I was kind of, at the beginning of this show, we talked about people saying social media doesn't count, but actually social media shapes a lot of decision. What if Fernando Santos actually also was influenced by everything that was going on online? Uh-huh. Is that not possible? And if that is the case, because look at what Giroud is doing. Giroud is what, 36? But look at what he's doing. Giroud can't run. He's not a fast guy. But if you put the ball in the right place, he's going to put it in the net. So what exactly is the difference? So what's this narrative of, Ronaldo...
It's not as popular as Ronaldo.
You get it, it's not as popular as Ronaldo, but he's doing the job. If you put the ball there, he's going to do it. So what's it? And guess what? We're talking about against Morocco. Ronaldo came on, he had a shot, one shot on, Bono saved it. Again, like I said, if you had started... See, coaches most of the time, and we've seen it with decisions that coaches have made, especially the ones that have been at the particular side for a long time. People like Louis van Gaal, at the end of the day, it was one of the things that was the undoing for Tite, in my opinion, as well. But most of the time, coaches will stick with what they can guarantee that this team has always given me results. It was what Pochettino also did in the final of the Champions League, where he started a half-fit Harry Kane. And people said, no, you shouldn't start because Harry Kane is not fit. I said, 1,000% I can understand why you start Harry Kane. The person that I think shouldn't have started was maybe Dele Alli. But I can understand 1,000% why you start Harry Kane. Yeah. Because that's your best chance at getting a goal.
Yeah. So we have, whatever many 10 minutes we have here? 8 minutes, right? Before the camera shut down. We're not using the black magics today, right? We didn't bring out the big guns. Because we don't have them. But let's talk about Brazil quickly. Before we, you know what, let's talk about Brazil before we go to final. So let's do this in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. What went wrong for Brazil? I had the time to sit back and look at Brazil and thinking, I don't remember a game where the game finished and I was still like,
that's unreal.
Is that it? That's the end? You know?
Yes.
Partly because Brazil are the Real Madrid of national team football, and they bring lots of colors to international football. I don't think that international football can exist without Brazil. It's not possible, right? But I thought Tite there in that game. First of all, the players that played didn't perform at a high level that game. We have to say that Vinicius didn't play his A game in this World Cup. Yeah. Richarlison was Brazil's best player in this World Cup. Casemiro was a very good player in this World Cup, world class. But we have to admit that the players around the Brazilian team, those ones that had the hype, those packets at them, they didn't play anything. What's this boy's name? What's that one that played left back for Brazil?
Alexandro.
No. Alexandro came on in the last game.
Alexandro was injured. So
it was Danilo, Danilo, Cancelo.
I was going to go the injury route, but when you're Brazil with the kind of depth, you can't speak about
No,
injuries.
I don't think injury was a problem. I think that outrightly, I think it was hype.
Yeah.
To call it the way it is.
Yeah.
Not so much as underrating Croatia, but
I think you get high.
You get higher on supply. You see, somebody there was this news that came out. I'm not sure if it's true because I didn't even bother substantiating or whatever. I think it was Neymar, one of them Brazil players, that they said when they watch interviews and they hear opposition players talk that they just laugh.
It was Casemiro was speaking and said, they sometimes even also feel sympathetic to
the opposition
for
as
the
to
quality
what their
they have.
players that they have. See,
on the bench.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
When you look across and you look at France, for example, and you see what someone like Griezmann does for France, and this happened even in the 2018 World Cup. Griezmann will be on the pitch and they are playing. Griezmann is telling someone, no, don't go, you'll stay back. After Brazil scored, what business do they have having 6 of their players up front when Croatia equalized? When you just scored a goal in a very difficult game, if that was France, that game ends that way at 1-0.
That's the end of the game.
That is the end. So it is this thing of our Brazil. Neymar is on the pitch, Vinicius is on the pitch. We can kill these people. We dance this, we dance that. But come on, look at where you're coming from. The game has been difficult. The game has been difficult, and it was the same thing. Remember, when Madrid and Chelsea played, it was the same conversation we had that, look, Benzema is still on the field. Modric is still on the field. Have some respect.
My brother, maybe everybody got caught.
You scored a goal and you see Neymar, they are still dancing, running up and down. They want to. If it was that easy, you would have scored in 90 minutes.
Yep. Brilliant analysis, and I think that's it. Because I would have said it better, honestly. And I hate to, I'd love to, go over it again, but Romeo has done that. So let's talk about the final and what happens there. Obviously Argentina, the GOATs, Messi, Kylian Mbappe, there's a point, and I think a lot of people that started the Ronaldo rivalry and Messi, there's a point you have to get to with a player, and you realize that, you know, God is gifting you something to see in your lifetime and enjoy. And that is the point where with Mbappe, you know, you can be if you watch him at PSG and you read all the news that follows him, you can be drawn to starting to have a bit of a dislike for him, right? For his personality, you know, how he goes about his business.
The media does that.
You know, the media does that. And, you know, who says that you won't do different if you're there? You know, give people small power, give people small secretary power, and they lose their mind. But I think we're at the point now, a lot of people should make this conscious decision. With Mbappe, you have to admit that this guy is a gift to the game.
Yeah.
In the way it is, you know, what we're used to seeing is seeing players that play very well. You know, we see this, you know, it doesn't define it. We see these incredible players, you know, Bukayo Saka, who I think, you know, Phil Foden, all these good players. But Mbappe is like, when God was creating him, an extra sprinkle of, you know, icing. You know, when he makes that run to the byline with Kyle Walker, and he remembers, so to speak, the comparisons made about the pace, and he downshifts an extra gear to tell Kyle Walker, look, this thing is beyond me. It's not a game.
Guess what? I'm 23. Even safe. You are what?
Bro, this guy runs to the byline and downshifts an extra. I thought he had maxed out.
Do you know how difficult that thing is?
If
you go full speed, get to the byline, then do something and turn this way.
And you go ahead, it's incredible.
You know how difficult that is?
That player I've seen do it, and why I wouldn't give that player a lot of credit is Heung-min Son. You know, Heung-min Son was running with Alonso, and the guy looked at Alonso like, bro, downshifts this thing, like, you know. But final, who wins it?
For me, I mean IBK. Obviously, we know where IBK wanted to go.
No. If I want to go with my mind, you know, obviously Argentina. But I think both coaches, they have similar style of play. They always want to concede to possession. Scaloni as well is someone who, regardless of the talent he has, he wants to be very conservative. Whatever chance they have, they want to always take it. And I think that's what has helped Argentina at this World Cup. They have players who are ready to take on. If they have two chances, they're ready to bury those two and sit back and hold on to whatever they have. The difference between Argentina and France is, I think the difference would be their defensive setup.
Because you brought that up, right?
Yeah.
Can anybody explain why Saliba has not played in this World Cup?
He played the last game.
No. Upamecano is a starter, right? Because when I look across the team, I don't know anybody in the team that is not named Varane that is better than Saliba.
No, so I think it's a valid conversation, but you can also understand the manager. First time Saliba is playing at this level, this is his first season, and he's not even at the end yet. You know, Upamecano has played, and that's why I think Upamecano is the first choice, because he has played.
Plays for Bayern Munich.
He has played Bayern Munich. You know, played qualifiers. He's played at least Bayern Munich constantly as a starter. So I guess
if you know, Grace, where person Upamecano is great, you know, that boy is always on the edge of making a terrible mistake.
And I think it was a fantastic decision to go to Bayern Munich.
You know,
that thing I was doing, I wanted to come to Premier League.
That guy is Eric Bailly.
Rono.
He said to Eric Bailly. You know,
and it's that boy too that they said some people are bidding 80. I don't know the madness that's happening at Chelsea. So come on now.
I've never seen a more
massive respect to Messi, but come on, you can't do that.
No.
Come on.
With all due
respect, come on. I'll kick you to oblivion. Don't worry.
You know, in that move, I counted at least 5 times I won the ball.
Do you understand?
From
with
Messi.
that, you know.
And if you think it's a joke, the moment Messi goes away from goal, turns back to his own goal, he gets back goal side. So what business does Messi have? Turning again.
That move.
Anyway,
that move was where I understood where pundits or analysts would say they had too much respect for the opposition. Because there's no other way for me to explain it.
Yeah.
With that frame that you have, Messi is powerful, but come on.
Which goes back to the first game, the miracle of the World Cup, Saudi Arabia, Argentina. And if you watch some of the halftime team talk,
exactly.
Averna says, you know, when you see Messi, you can make 2 decisions. Either you take a picture with him, or you gotta get the ball from him.
And I think.
why you don't post after they lose to Mexico?
No.
And I think France too would want to watch that Saudi Arabia's game. I think, like I said, I'm scared of Argentina's defensive setup because of the fact that those defenders are error prone.
But Giroud will score, show me that.
They are error prone.
The way France they play, guys.
No, I'm sure that Giroud has a goal in the final. That I can tell you.
Otamendi, I don't know if he's going to use 3 defensive setup. That's Otamendi, Romero, and Licha. But
You said don't they call him Licha?
no, now my boy now. But it's going to be tough.
Right.
I think it might enter extra time.
Right.
But if we should go to penalty shootout, Argentina takes it.
Right.
For
sure, Martinez is a
Yeah, Martinez is
if you're the Shams, right?
that
As we finish, if you're the Shams, if you're watching, look, feel free at any point in time, leave a comment. That's the whole extent of it, right? Leave a comment. If you're the Shams, I see a story. Benzema is in the final. They didn't pull him out and replace him with somebody. What do you do? Do you play him?
No, you can't play him. You
Not at any point.
No, maybe if the game goes your way, you are 2-0 up, 10 minutes to go. Right. Benzema is a top-class guy, so maybe you can play him. But with how they've played, no, you can't play because, like he said, Argentina are they're very tough side to play against because I think they're very combative. They're very, very aggressive. Look at the midfield, and I think also that's where maybe there might be a bit of dilemma, right? Going into the final, the manager is thinking, where should I lean towards? I'm not about Scaloni now. Should I lean towards, aggression in midfield or a bit of finesse? Because there's Paredes, there's Rodrigo de Paul. You put Messi somewhere in there. Then there's the boy that hit the post again. There's Enzo Fernandez. So you make that decision. So and I think depending on what they do, you've got a French side that can match it. So against Morocco, Didier Deschamps decided I'm going to go with Fofana in midfield, which brings a bit more grit. If he decides he might come with
uses double DM, so just expect it.
Exactly. So if he wants, he can come with Adrian Rabiot. So
I think Scaloni will use 3 defenders because of Mbappe.
So basically,
I think he'll use 3 defenders because you can't put just one man on Mbappe.
Right. So basically,
you can't.
Did you see the clip of that
France don't
second
have,
goal yesterday?
So whilst the two teams are similar, right, in terms of how they approach the game, the aim is to win.
Yeah, they don't want.
But France don't have the problem, the dilemma that Argentina have. Argentina have a bit of a dilemma. Do we go with aggression? Do we go?
I said it at the start.
But France know what they want to do.
I said it at the start of the show that the good thing about this French side is that they don't necessarily have to change personnel to change how they want to play. And what I mean by that is that even if you go with
except when Benzema was there.
Except when Benzema was there. This current team, even if you go with Rabiot, you go with Griezmann, and who's the last midfield?
Tchouaméni.
You go with Tchouaméni.
No, Camavinga is not.
That's the 3 people that have been in the midfield all through, except for the game against Morocco. Even if you go with those 3 in midfield, and what you want to do is you want to be aggressive. Rabiot can be a crazy person as well when it comes to tackling and so they don't necessarily need to change personnel. Right. To change how they want to play. If what they want to do is just easy on the eye, one touch, they can do it. Giroud is very good at that as well. So they can do all that. If they want to go route one, they can do it as well.
Don't forget, Argentina have got very, I won't say short, but
no, short.
Short defenders, and I'm sure.
That's not so tall defenders.
Like you said, France, they have 2 options. Either they keep loading.
Yeah.
The opposition
with the same set of players without changing anything.
Yeah, or they go by the normal passing.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, if it gets tough, they will begin to load.
Yeah, of course. It's crazy what France are doing. We come to the end of it.
But I think Argentina wins this.
Yeah? Argentina wins.
Yeah.
I think France will win.
Why I'm going with that because of the back-to-back stuff. Because to be honest, when Brazil to 1998 World Cup final, nobody thought that France were going to be that good in the final, Brazil just won the 1994 World Cup.
1998?
They've got De Lima, they've got a lot of star players, and they lost 3-0 to France, you get. So
with Zidane and the likes in the team?
Yeah, Emmanuel Petit, and this guy, Lizarazo and all these guys. So I feel that back-to-back is very, very difficult. Maybe they might just do it, but my mind is going with Argentina.
Great. Look, it's one of those finals where I'm not sure. anybody who wins it.
Yeah, it's
I
too
think-
balanced,
anybody
to be
who wins
honest.
it
Your mind is
deserves
going
to
to
win.
Argentina,
It's too
not
balanced,
for
to be
logical
honest.
reasons. It's
You
just,
Yeah. I think France will
you
win.
can fool everybody. You
To be
can't
fair,
fool.
if it goes to penalties, you made a call I would make as well. If it goes to penalties, I think Argentina would win. But yeah, that's it. We have one more episode to record before the year ends, and that is beautiful. We've done of course, we've had this unavoidable break in transition with the way we record, and it's not the kind of consistency we like. But anyone who knows us more, has spoken to us more. I've tried to explain as best as I can that we've had a bit of issues with the landlords, and that's normal. You'd always have one or two things, but we'll sort it out hopefully. And I have to say that as the year comes to an end, there's not a better set of people to do a podcast. A lot of people do podcasts, but no one quite does it the way we do it. And that's not even me, bigging the guys up, but the guys are the best working with them. So luckily if the analysis today, spot on. IBK, congrats on all the good things. And yeah, Wale as well. In Monday, who else is here? Jide, who's out in Delta working. Who else? There's Need.
He's working and playing.
These incredible people who come in and work with us. And yeah, look, the list goes on, and the list keeps expanding. So if you're not in the list, Tokwe, I don't know where he is, but yeah. Funny thing is, I've gone to 2 weddings, and there's a guy who reminds me of Tokwe, Shei. He behaves the same way Tokwe behaves, and all that stuff. So we'll see you very soon. Next week is the final episode, and hopefully we're back in familiar territory, and we could maybe bring in somebody to sit with us. But enjoy the rest of it. Bye-bye.